Bitcoin is surging higher. In the autumn when this happened, we saw ICP, Casper, Solana, and a handful of other key tokens surging as well. It looks right now that similar patterns are about to play out, and these coins are primed for big moves towards the upside. In this video, I'm going to talk about where I see Bitcoin heading in the very short term and why we need to really hurry if we want to be aware of what's happening next. So hit the like button and let's dive into today's video. Now, first things first, let's jump across to Crypto Bubbles, a website you've probably seen and, makes you feel good about the bags that you're holding when they make big green bubbles. Okay, but this is not what this is for. What I want to do is when Bitcoin suddenly has a spike, a bit of a peak like this, 4.6%, is to identify other coins within this space that are reacting very positively to the Bitcoin moves. Why? Well, because when Bitcoin gets moving, it tends to take a handful of key coins with it. These are the coins that we want to have exposure to and be taking profits out of as they're kind of rallying. Because if Bitcoin takes a push to around 50 or 60k, which I think is on the verge of doing, then it's going to take the key coins that react closely with it first. Where we can see on this graph what's going on: DYM, Injective, Casper, Celestia, Ordinals. There's obviously more. Remember back in the autumn, what key coins were reacting most to Bitcoin surging? Solana up 9% in this last couple of days. Casper up 16, nearly 17%. Got ICP up 3.6%, and then a handful of others. So what then? Well, something that has me quite bullish on Bitcoin is this. I talked about this in a video I made the other day, saying that we would likely come up and retest these areas before shoving lower. And what we can see is it did shove up and it took out a lot of the liquidity that existed here. And then again, it went seeking this yellow area of liquidity here. So it kind of faked us out again towards the downside. And that's very positive. Because ultimately, once it hits all of this liquidity, what it's doing is it's absorbing a load of orders. And if the big money wants to keep it going, then it will continue to run hot. Typically, if they were looking to sell this off, you would have expected it to crash through here, a big sell-off happen, and it to come back down. But those big sell-offs didn't happen. This, to me, tells me that Bitcoin looks bullish, and we will be pushing up towards this sort of 46k level. And then beyond there, we can't see a huge amount of liquidity. And that's very interesting, because if there's no real liquidity up here, we can see this moving very quickly between levels, and you could expect to maybe see 50k happening sooner rather than later. Now, zooming out further, what are the major concerns? Well, you can see that this big area of yellow liquidity sits down here around 34 grand, but we're so far away from that now, it kind of feels like unlikely that that's going to happen. But it doesn't mean it can't. My first anticipation is that we're going to get a big shove sooner, and then potentially a cool off, maybe down towards those levels to collect some liquidity before seeing continuation. Now, that's not here to scare you. I want to be able to capitalize if we get that big shove first, maybe take some profits off the table, anticipating a move lower. So what are we doing? Well, we're identifying why is those big coins are moving now. What is going on in this stage of the market compared to what goes on later, and why do different parts of the market move at different times? Right now, we're in a kind of a smart money, but like retail smart money accumulation phase. There's obviously larger institutions, etc., that are buying into the markets right now. But why are those particular coins pumping aggressively when Bitcoin's pumping? Well, I've talked about this a lot recently, and I've tried to restore a bit of balance through ICP and Casper over the period of time by looking at a bit of devil's advocate for those particular projects. But it's hard to deny this. Casper, ICP, I think Render as well, maybe a bit of Solana, are gaining a lot more traction, a lot more kind of excitement from the mass in terms of the retail markets right now. And when we see surges in the Bitcoin price, that confidence is restored into those people, and they're going and pushing those prices a little bit further. So as soon as we're seeing Bitcoin have a rally, every time we're getting Solana looking very bullish. Previously, Solana rallied all the way up to around 123 bucks. You can see it's been back down this area, had a really nice retest there, now bouncing higher. If it's breaking beyond here within a short space of time, I think Solana's going to be back up retesting the 114 to around the 123, $125 level. And if Bitcoin surges to around 50k, then easily I think we're seeing Solana pushing to around 150 bucks. And this is all going to be pre-halving. The next coin, Casper, doing something very similar. Had a very good autumn run, then kind of went a bit too hard. It had to cool off. As every crypto cools off, it started to take a bit of a trip towards the downside. It's then found support on this support here, and broken up really nicely, now challenging this level here around 12 cents. A push to around 15 cents, I think, is on the cards still. We will see around a 20% gain in a very short near term for Casper. Where we would anticipate this going next, as always, with coins that have broken into clear space that have no previous history or price history at certain levels, we would have to take a Fibonacci from a swing high down to a swing low here. Now, obviously, we've got that liquidity wick here, but really, I'd be looking around 20 cents for Casper before seeing, potentially some significant cool off, which would be around a 51% push. Very healthy indeed. Now, obviously, guys, as we get higher, I want you to be aware of something. There's a lot of people in Casper who are still there who might be like 50x up by now. Think about it from their mindset, not from your mindset. If they're already 50x and it goes and does another 2x from this current price, they're now 100x up. Okay, if it then goes and does like another 2x on top of that, which is a 4x from the current price, they're now like 200x up. So think about how much more likely it is they're going to be taking profits when you're kind of looking at when you might consider taking profits. Remember, if Bitcoin does have a very nice quick shove towards the upside, it should see a big drive, I think, in the likes of ICP, Casper, Avalanche, Solana, etc. now, and that's a good chance for maybe to take a little bit of profit off the table. Why? Well, for example, with Casper, look, Casper had that great run around the 18th of November. People would have been taking profits out of it, and then, it can drop down towards the downside. In this period of time, they've probably been buying other bits and pieces like ICP. They've made their profits. Now they can take their profits out of other coins they've been buying. They can drop into Casper around 40% lower. Now they can catch these moves. If you really want to make absolutely killer gains in crypto, then you must be taking profits, because otherwise you're just sat dormant losing money through these kind of periods of time. When you get huge rallies like this, don't be afraid to take profits. ICP, slightly different looking chart, having had, still very aggressive pushes like this. Now, interestingly, it hasn't really kind of been drifting away in terms of the interest that's in the space. Right now, ICP is really pumped and hyped like Casper was maybe at the end of autumn last year. So I am still a little bit cautious about whether or not it continues to see a bit more cooling off, but there are nice buy zones for ICP that sit in and around this region here. Where would that be? Somewhere sort of sub $10. Will it happen? I don't know. Personally, I'll be taking limit orders in this position. But what we are seeing right now for ICP is something interesting. This might be a shoulder, a head. Maybe you could argue another shoulder here. If we're breaking beyond this neckline, then we do have a potential for another push in the ICP price. All the way up, then that would be to around sort of $20. But beware of this. ICP is running hot, okay? This is a very aggressive move, and that was mainly just sort of recovering from all the kind of the bad, nasty rumor stuff that was happening before. If ICP is breaking beyond these levels and seeing significant surges without having much in terms of any cool off, be cautious, okay? Because if something's going up really, really fast and aggressively, it's really great, it's really exciting, but it gets us trapped. Because the harder and faster something goes up without a break, the harder and the faster it will cool down when it eventually finds a place at which it's going to break. Okay, and lots of people will be like clicking off this, being like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, ICP to the moon legend. Okay, but what this point is, no matter what coin it is and how like invested you are in the tech and all that stuff, people will be making lots of money who'll be taking profits. Okay, I've already been taking ICP profits this year. I still hold some. It was around $2.80. So if it gets to $28, that's already a 10x for a lot of people who might be considering taking profits. If it takes a bounce like that at some point, then we've got the opportunity to get in on a bounce. Where it goes to, it's unclear right now. Look at previous areas of resistance. You got one here, $23. You got another one there at $36. It's quite obvious that we'll likely see pullbacks at certain points like this. And what I'm talking about when taking profits is this. Like, look, Solana had a 38% pullback. If you were taking profits anywhere above $100 really, then you would have been really happy to know that it would have come back down to around 70-80%. You could have been buying in like a 20% discount. So if you took out money early at like $100, it carried on all the way up another like 25-30%. Then eventually it came back down. Okay, which is all looking extremely positive. Now, obviously, have an air of caution. Lots of these projects have been running really hot, and Bitcoin still looks very bullish. I'm still very bullish on crypto in general, even though many people out there are calling for new dumps towards new levels. I think that's just wishful thinking for those who completely missed this kind of bull market, of which we're quite clearly in a bull market and have been since the start of last year. You can see Solana at the start of last year was $8.30. It's currently sat at $104. What about that doesn't say that we're in a bull market right now? And yes, of course, there's call-off potentials at any point. Have some cash reserves set aside and then start to get into projects if they take dips lower. What I'm saying right now is not all of crypto moves together. The likes of Solana, the likes of ICP, the likes of Casper have already been performing very strongly. Realistically, I think most of these coins could potentially, at very best, hit around a 20x. I don't think Solana will because I think its market cap's too big, but a 10x for Solana I think is on the cards. 20x, ambitious, but possible for both ICP and Casper. But be prepared to take profits. They see another 40-50% move very quickly. That's when you should be taking some profits out and looking into new narrative. Now on Saturday, I'm going to launch a super detailed, huge deep dive into a bunch of DPIN projects. We already know about Renders, Akash, Filecoin, but these new DPIN projects are going to blow the rest out of the water. Absolutely crazy tech in some of them, and the capabilities and the revenue they're already generating is unheard of in new projects in crypto. Definitely worth paying attention, so make sure you subscribe for that. I'm also going to be running a live stream video tomorrow. Now today's video was in partnership with My Lovely Planet. And I don't often take partnerships on this channel, but this is one that was very important to note, mainly because the founders of this particular game were previously part of the team that saw huge success with Candy Crush, one of the biggest mobile phone games ever. Not only that, but My Lovely Planet is also a game designed to help with climate protection, and that's something I personally really value. Not only that, but I know that big teams with previous project success, such as with Candy Crush, that are trying to implement projects like this, could see some really exciting upside. Now you'll see they're currently in a pre-sale right now, and I'll show you how to buy tokens in a minute. But what is this all about? Well, it's a project backed by some of the biggest names in gaming, such as Ubisoft and Unity, and they already have over 30,000 players participating on the App Store and others. And effectively what it is a catalogue of casual games, such as Candy Crush, etc. And these are also play-to-earn games, hence the requirement to have a token. The utility token will be used within the game to participate in various different bits and pieces. And the cool thing about focusing towards mobile phone game is that the revenue within that space is absolutely huge. And as you're probably aware, these sort of simple games like this have the ability to go absolutely viral. Basically, throughout gameplay you'll be able to win different tokens, and these tokens can be used to do things like to plant trees in the games, etc. When people are planting trees in the game, they're going away and planting trees in real life, which is a big part of their whole story. They're trying to get 100 million players across the internet to help them plant more trees, improve biodiversity and remove plastic from the oceans, all things that I think are really noble causes. Now as an investment, they already have a working product. They have over 500,000 followers on TikTok and various other platforms, which is obviously great because there's a good potential that people are going to start getting involved and actually playing the games, which has the ability to drive up the value of tokens. Now I recommend you come and check this out. It's linked down below in the description. There's a fully transparent team and you can go and find out all about these individuals involved in this project if you're considering getting involved. Now obviously nothing is financial advice, so make sure you go and check everything out through the link down below in the description before buying any tokens. $0.1 or 10 cents is the launch price, the listing price, and they've already told us that, which is happening in April, and the current price is 0.086, which means it's 14% lower than the actual launch price. So in order to buy now, I simply click buy now, and you can see this is one MLC coin, which is My Lovely coin, and you can see they've already sold 2.3 million's worth. So in order to buy it, I can either pay with a credit card, but I'm going to personally pay with crypto. I'm going to click buy MLC. I'm going to say I'm from the UK, I'm older than 18, I accept the general terms. I understand I'll have to verify my identity with a KYC to receive My Lovely coin. Pay with Ethereum, but you can pay in BNB. It's probably better to pay with BNB because it's cheaper. Now take your MetaMask wallet code, put your wallet code in here. Now I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of this token, which is approximately 0.4 ETH. And you can see that you get vesting bonuses. By vesting for longer periods of time, you'll gain more funds. Personally, I'm going to vest for around 1.5%, so I can earn 5% bonus. Although if you want to earn 10% bonus, you can go higher. And then we just click buy now. Now, once you've done that, very straightforward, just click on the one that you sent, go up to where it says copy transaction ID. I confirm I did the transfer, and you can see it's asking for that transaction hash in here. You just paste that in. I confirm transaction hash, and you can see saved with success. And then it says to comply with regulation, participant will have to go through identity verification. Once you've finished all that KYC stuff, you are good to go. Obviously, if you've bought into pre-sales or anything like that, guys, just follow them on Twitter. When you're always asking, like, how does this work? When am I going to... They're sharing all this information with you, particularly transparent projects like this. Go across, give them a follow on Twitter, and you can see exactly what they're up to when the launches and things are going to take place. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, guys, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video. Bye-bye.